the disadvantage of other taxpayers when you're following the case and you're letting them be the lead case, hoping that they're going to get the resolution you want, and then ultimately they settle.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, we have a case in Illinois where that just happened, where we were waiting and they just settled, and now we're trying to figure out, can we figure out what's in that settlement agreement? Because in most states there's a confidentiality clause for a
Mhm.
settlement agreement.
Yep.
So technically, you're not really supposed to share the terms of the agreement. Although, you could probably talk more generally, like, how did you settle? Did you settle on a percentage basis? Did you settle on just a number, a merit basis? Was it based on some sort of change in law? Like, you can probably get to an answer that's helpful to your client without them telling you, we settled for 10% or we paid 100 grand or whatever the answer is. Uh, you know, there's been a lot of that kind of back and forth with the city of Chicago too, with the settlements dealing with the transaction tax. You mentioned earlier, Judy, that you had like an Illinois 5-part test issue, which Illinois applies the 5-part test for whether it's taxable software. But I mean, we dealt with that relentlessly with the city of Chicago, where one taxpayer, they cut a great deal, and then you're like, okay, just give us the same deal you just gave them. But there could be, in the city of Chicago, you had a change in leadership. So previously, tax council was really kind of willing to work with taxpayers and resolve issues in a way that kind of made sense, even though they knew their law was bad. And I guess to talk more specifically about this, the transaction tax, for some of you that aren't aware, it applies to SaaS streaming services in the city of Chicago, and it's all based on the location of use. So you could be an out-of-state SaaS provider, but your customers are located in the city of Chicago. Or conversely, you're not a SaaS provider, you just use SaaS. So, you use something like Adobe in the city of Chicago. You've got employees working remotely there, you're subject to tax. And this got really complicated because the city never modified their ordinance to do this. They just put out a bulletin in ruling 12 that suggested those things were taxable. And so then, and tried to apply it retroactively. So there was just a constant fight as to, okay, how far can you go back? And, we had like these audits where they're trying to go back to 2008 or 2010. I mean, just way, way back, because the look back period was 6 years. So it became really, I did like it because I felt like I could always provide some sort of value to clients, whether it's shortening the look back period or whatever. But it's less of an issue now that that's been on the books for a while. But you still see taxpayers all the time who, like I said, may not be the licensor of the
Mhm.
software or the licensee, and that's just not on their radar.
No.
Especially if you're an out of state company and maybe you just have an employee working remotely in Chicago.